Highlights of Miles Guo's live broadcast on February 15, 2020. Amid the spreading of coronavirus epidemic, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, government has ordered the reopening of hotels, restaurants, public transports and other tertiary services in metropolitans. A large-scale contagion is expected to happen, which may even extend overseas. In the words of an old CCP leader, with no containment of the epidemic, the current 7-digit infected cases would easily shoot up to 8 digits. To figure out the CCP's true stake in the epidemic, one must necessarily probe its cause. Miles Guo exposed 2 years ago and repeated 1 year ago that preluding to its collapse, the CCP would initiate large-scale humanitarian crisis, natural disaster or pandemic. He can expose today relevant details about the P4 lab in Wuhan. The safety and security of the P4 lab in Wuhan are delivered by the 4th Unit of the General Staff of the People's Liberation Army, PLA. Sanctioned by the CCP government, funded with $6 billion by private business, the lab has strangely involved the most influential figures around the globe as consultants. It is also noteworthy that those who work inside are from the CCP elite family background. Managed by the PLA Military Academy along with China's Natural Science Academy, the lab is a mere copy of Western counterparts. While part of the lab is used by academicians, the other part is restricted only to the entry of those from the 303 and 106 research institutes, the coded biochemical weapon units of the PLA. The lab is a perfect embodiment of civil-military fusion. Today more and more scientists outside China stand out to state that the novel coronavirus is impossible to naturally mutate and that it is clearly man-made, with genetic insertions. Now such questions are begged to answer. Who made and genetically edited this virus? Who leaked it? Why does the virus take most impact upon Chinese and Orientals? If this virus was let out unintentionally, who did it? Why did Zhang Chaoyang, Guo Diyun and Shi Zhengli strongly deny the making and leaking? Why then on the 6th January the CCP senior officials' retreats, military research institutes and factories in Wuhan and Fencheng were put under semi-martial law? As early as the 27th December several military colleges introduced temperature measuring. So did the garrisons around Shanghai, plus entry restriction of people from Hubei. Between 4th and 8th January, the military facilities in Hubei and Zhejiang abruptly increased sentries, of which ordinary people in Hubei were entirely unaware. Informed by the government that the virus was preventable, controllable and treatable, tens of thousands gathered to have New Year's feast together. From which date did the Hubei provincial staff residents stock 2 million masks? Similarly, when did large numbers of the super-rich of Hubei fly out of the country by private jets? These facts indicate that either these people were related to the making and or leaking of the virus or they were exclusively informed and thus able to escape in good time without notifying the mass public. The facts also imply that the making and leaking of the coronavirus was organized. Either a collective or an individual decision. The epidemic is in nature a CCP internal gang fight that aims to defeat political rivals at the cost of ordinary people. The major conflict between the Xi Jinping camp and the Wang Qishan Jiang Zemin representing Shanghai gang is yet to reach a definite outcome. Meanwhile other factions, more and less powerful, old and new, based in provincial, municipal and township localities, have participated. All aim to protect their self-interests. None minds or gives a bit of thought about those dying in Hubei, Henan, and Shandong. In a province with 60 million population and its capital city with over 13 million population, Wuhan Hubei has only 157 ambulances and less than 200 fire engines. Contrasting to insanely giving billions of US dollars to other countries, the CCP government has meanly given Hubei 1 billion yuan to curb the epidemic. Yet CCP has excessively applied its hallmark toolkit, i.e. the propaganda and armed police. The Foreign Ministry has repetitively made 3 emphases to international communities: the government has determination and confidence to control the disease, donations of masks, gloves and condoms are welcome, but no experts, and cash is accepted. Nevertheless their actions manifest exactly the opposite. All that concerns its staff is where to get masks, protective equipments, efficacious medicines, and try to buy as many foreign currencies as possible and transfer as much money abroad as possible. Their families, like Yang Jiki's, have moved out of China. The CCP has lost its last credibility amid the coronavirus break. For months Meng Jiansu and Sun Lijun, the most influential figures of the CCP security police have been working in Wuhan. Internet control about the virus was implemented from the beginning of January. Those who knew the truth, like the 8 doctors, including Li Wenliang, were detained and silenced under the order of the Ministry of Public Security. Consequently, ordinary people did not know the truth. The most essential first 3 weeks to contain the epidemic was so missed. To confine people at home thereafter is not helpful to prevent the epidemic. In spite of the potential to aggravate coronavirus contagion, the CCP leadership has decided to convene annual National People's Congress and the Political Consultative Conference, usually simplified as the 2 conferences, in early March as scheduled. Symbolic of the legitimacy and continuity of the CCP regime, the convening of the 2 conferences is yet another proof of the CCP minding its own power and interest the most while ignoring the lives and deaths of the ordinary people. Top agenda of the 2 conferences will certainly be the epidemic, yet the most concerned issue is bona fide the economy. As the economy collapses, so will the CCP regime. Hong Kong and Taiwan are also troubling issues to address. Corresponding personnel changes will be made, even in the Politburo. The CCP government is still propping up Shanghai, Shenzhen and Hong Kong stock markets for 2 reasons. One is to maintain the momentum till the opening of the 2 conferences. The attendants will discuss and determine whether to close Shanghai and Shenzhen markets due to the epidemic. The other is that the 2 major factions are still competing to make more profit than the other. Also, the US wishes the markets to continue open, as it has thousands of billion dollars invested. Following the conferences, Shanghai and Shenzhen shares are expected to fall off the cliff. Hong Kong stock would fluctuate at very low level. Both Chinese and Hong Kong currencies would depreciate to worthless. Currently, necessary groceries are still available, particularly in supermarkets. Yet the supply is unlikely to be sustainable and would last till mid-March at maximum. In the foreseeable future, it is impossible for the Chinese economy to recover to the same levels as those of 1 to 3 years ago. The reasons are that China's trade credibility has been ruined and will be very hard to recover. Meanwhile, technologies and markets on which the economic development relies will not be as accessible as before. Xiaobei Long, the new director of the Hong Kong and Macau office, will adopt radical policies to Hong Kong. On the one hand, he will grant most privileged conditions to the elite groups, typically the lawyers, financiers, entertainment circle and super-rich tycoons. On the other hand, he will ruthlessly oppress the pro-democracy citizens, and particularly persecute the influential figures. Terrible bloodshed is expected in the city after the 2 conferences. Nevertheless, Xiaobei Long, together with other CCP proxies, would end their careers in Hong Kong. They will definitely lose to the heroic democracy defending Hong Kongish. Xi Jinping has been urged more and more to launch a war against Taiwan. This war is expected to reach 2 goals: to distract the world attention away from the coronavirus, and to amass more power to defeat his political rivals. In case of agreeing to wage this war, Xi would certainly lose and the CCP regime would collapse imminently. The pity would be that many Chinese soldiers would be worthless victims. Thanks for watching.